Alright, hey everyone. So I'm just gonna run off the cuff. I don't have any kind of a script going on for uh, an update on my Project Stray thing in its current state and bring up a couple of things that I was thinking about in the last couple of days and apologize because I'm not getting as many videos out as I want to be getting out, but I've been just so distracted by this. The reason why I'm not making videos of me working on this is that I don't really think videos of me working on blueprints is interesting at all. Maybe it is. Maybe it is actually interesting, or maybe if I like just go over the basics of what kinds of blueprint stuff that I'm doing, maybe that would actually be somewhat entertaining. But I'm definitely doing a hell of a lot of blueprint work. Uh, Pretty much touching on just about everything, like insanity right now. Here's a data table for all of the different uh, loot tables that the different item bubbles. So like when an enemy dies, they drop a loot bubble, or there might be just loot bubbles kind of hidden around the world and stuff like that. And usually you get randomized items out of them. Sometimes they're randomized unless I specify otherwise. I just now got the weapon inventory basics set up so that you can actually have a weapon equipped. But at the moment, like I haven't been able to hook this up yet, and I also have to go through and make sure all the weapons are properly named. Well, that's kind of neat that it already works, even though it's not functioning correctly yet. I didn't expect that. I already have a pistol equipped, but it's not visible yet. It's not quite like with the armor and stuff, because so you start off with like worn body armor and things like that. Now, one of the questions that I wanted to ask about, or at least I wanted to go over yesterday, when I was kind of like brainstorming about ammo and how ammo isn't really always a very fun mechanic. But I was kind of thinking that maybe one of the ways that I could do this and that would make it truly different from a classic Doom style or a Quake style game is to kind of go more in the direction of a Dark Souls style setup. And that basically means that I was already planning on having like a hub town or a hub area where you start off. That's where if you're going to play co-op, other people connect to you, and then you just jump into the world at some predetermined place, like a bonfire, so to speak, where it could just be a teleport or whatever, and that basically just places you into much larger, more uh, intricate levels where there's like nooks and crannies that you kind of have to find and things like that. Now, one of the reasons why I'm bringing that up in terms of ammo consumption is that it can kind of work a little bit like Estus flasks, where you when you reach a home point, your ammo is just sort of refilled. And if I balance things around that, there can be parts in the game where like you need to find ammo laying around and stuff like that because it'll come in handy, and some loot bubbles will respawn while some others won't. I don't know, but you can carry an awful lot of ammo before it starts to affect. Oh god, I'm over encumbered a bit. I'll probably make ammo lighter, but this is also a lot of ammo. You probably won't be running around with this much of each type. Like, well, pistol ammo is probably not supposed to be that heavy. Railgun slugs are probably going to be fairly heavy and stuff like that. So the items do actually have weight to them. Grenades are really heavy. Jesus. But with that said, yeah, maybe that would be a way to kind of do this because one of the things that's nice about having it set up that way is that if the player runs out of ammo, the player has a chance to kind of retreat, come back, and try it again. Maybe try from a different angle. It changes the entire dynamic of everything. And one of the things that I notice is that people get very frustrated if they're playing a Doom level and they run out of ammo. But if somebody's playing Dark Souls and the game just fucking kills them over and over and over and over again, and the levels are sprawling and everything like that, it actually kind of like people are more willing to put up with it. And I don't think it's just necessarily because Dark Souls is easier or some shit like that. It's that it's a little bit more open ended and it's a little bit more your fault when things go wrong. I think that actually kind of makes sense. Maybe I could try it out. I don't know. My original plan was to just have like a bunch of levels where there's just set levels on bad guys and loot, and you just play the level over and over again. But maybe maybe there's actually something to be said for having like bonfires in larger maps or teleports, and then having that be the way you get home and stuff like that. It kind of almost puts like sort of open-endedness to the level as well, which I think is kind of interesting. And I'm pretty sure that I'd be able to actually save progress on the player controller. So like whoever is, if you're playing in co-op mode, whoever is the leader of the group, that's the person whose the world will be influenced by. So the server will be the one like that has the doors unlocked and the boss fights are done. Like so if somebody who's like much higher level joins somebody who's much lower level, um, you get to fight all the bosses again and stuff, and you get to loot all over again and stuff like that. I'm thinking that's kind of gonna that kind of makes sense. It would probably work out. The way the game is set up is that like if you're higher level, the lower level equipment isn't really going to be that useful to you. Um, and also too, there could be lots of like one-time items that you can grab that you can find just all over the place. It's actually fairly easy right now how I have this set up to make loot that can just be whatever. And I already experimented with doing larger sprawling levels with when I did my um, Redemption of the Slain Doom level. So kind of imagine something along those lines where if you play it in one shot, it kind of sends you through in a linear path, uh, but the you're able to kind of like pause it, go to a bonfire, refill your ammo, and then you know do your upgrades and crafting and stuff, and then get back into the game again. Now you're back into the level. You're ready. You got some new armor. You crafted some stuff, and yeah, things like that. Like maybe you upgraded thing. I don't know. Maybe there could be some kind of like upgrades or whatever. I mean, there's plenty of gear, like having improved armor sets and things like that. It's easy to make all that stuff. So I'm actually thinking that it kind of just makes sense to maybe experiment with that style. So I am experimenting with the art style, and maybe this is a little too on the nose as far as like maybe what uh, maybe Doom or something like that. But I'm trying to combine Doom and Minecraft in a strange way. And I still haven't quite figured out exactly how I want to go about it, but I think I'm actually going to make unique meshes. I don't know. I hate the brushes, but the brushes might actually be more ideal because I can mold those however I want them to, and then I can apply the textures to every face. If I just make a bunch of blocks, like in Minecraft, and throw those all over the place, it's wasteful on a technical level because you have a lot of faces that are not seen that usually accrue some kind of light map data or uh, you know necessity for visibility culling. Uh, I mean the meshes are pretty efficient in this tech, and a bunch of simple poly meshes or cubes is probably not going to affect things very poorly. I don't think it's going to actually have much of an effect at all. But I can fake all of that with brushes pretty effectively. I don't know. So I'm still kind of thinking about that at the moment, but um, I might be able to focus on just the levels and the art style once I'm done with this part, and that'll be really good because I'll actually be able to make more videos showing just me working on the levels, which I think is actually the interesting stuff. Like, I actually started watching more videos of people just building stuff in Minecraft, and I was watching this one guy. He like decided to take over a Nether fortress in Minecraft, and to me, it was really entertaining to watch that sort of design. Whereas quickly, you know, blowing through blueprints and making modifications to stuff like that, just I don't know, it doesn't quite have the same effect. I mean, I could probably go over a few things here and there. Like, I almost kind of wish a little bit when you go into what is this called, when you make a you create a binding to a UMG element. I kind of wish that each binding automatically just started off with a local variable, because I can't tell you how many times, like, this should just be a local variable. It just automatically hooked up to this. It should just automatically be that way, because like 9 times out of 10, every single time I bind something, I end up having to create a local variable. It's like a it's always like this. Maybe that's like something I could suggest for the engine, because it's just something that, oh god, all the time. Well, anyway, with all that said, a lot of progress is being made on this right now, but it's not the fun to watch kind of content. So, well, maybe I could try, but I'm trying to keep my videos shorter and stuff like that. Anyway, with that said, I hope you found this interesting, and it should be pretty cool to hear what anyone has to say. Like, uh, sort of taking this sort of level design, like, yeah, like this, and having like teleporters or quote unquote bonfires, kind of set all over the world, and if maybe a handful of different levels with you know highly like ranging enemy difficulties and stuff like that, and kind of like and have a little bit of interconnectivity. Like, I can like go from one area to the other area and stuff like that, and just have lots of secrets and hidden loot and stuff like that all over the place. And every time you use one of these portals, or quote unquote bonfires, all the enemies respawn, but your ammo replenishes as well. Uh, and have that be sort of set in a kind of Doomish style thing, where the enemies will uh, pretty much react exactly like Doom. In fact, I'm kind of wondering about that in terms of the AI. Like, I don't know if I'm even going to bother to use Navmesh, because I don't want the enemies to be that intelligent. I literally want the enemies to behave like Doom enemies. Like, I don't want them to figure out how to get to you. I want them to just sort of meander around like Doom. And I want to have enough variety of them. So, like, you know what you're getting into when you're fighting them. Like, which kinds of enemies are going to be the ones that are going to come in at you to get close. So what kinds of enemies are going to try and like just spray bullets at you from across the room, and like just a variety: fireball throwers, imps, chargers, and maybe even kind of mix it up a little bit more than even what Doom had. And kind of think on that front, because I think it's actually pretty straightforward. I'm not even really I'm not even worried about it that much. Basically, the enemies will become active based on uh, distance and sight. If I fire my gun when I'm a distance away, then that means they will wake up if they're set to not ambush. Like, I'm really going Doom with this. Um, and once they do that, I'm just gonna literally have them like walk towards the player in a sort of zigzaggy line, and that's it. And attack if they're in range. Check to see the weapon's range, and if they're in range, attack. and that's kind of how simple I'm going to be keeping it. And yeah, so that's pretty much all my thoughts on things so far. I'd love to hear what anyone has to say about my ideas on this. Unfortunately, I probably won't be releasing this for free because it's going too well. I might actually only release the the playable version of this, and maybe have a demo or something that's really dirt simple demo that just shows the basics. And I don't want it to really be a game where like I'm doing cheat protection or anything like that. It's like Terraria or something where if people want to cheat, they can fucking cheat. It's you start up a server, have somebody join your game, and you just play together. And like you do whatever, you play however you want. Like, do you want to play legitimately? Do you like? I'm not going to have any kind of crazy infrastructure in place. It's really going to be just sort of a very streamlined, straightforward looter shooter, Doom, Minecraft, Borderlands thing. I don't know. Anyway, hope you enjoyed. Stay tuned for more.